Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo. NDSU is a member of the Mountain West Conference in football. Full reaction from the AD, the head coach, and the commissioner coming up on a busy Hot Mic that starts now.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay. Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo. Dom Izzo.
Good Tuesday morning. Welcome to the Did That Really Happen edition of Hot Mic on WDAY Extra. KSFL TV, good morning, everybody in Sioux Falls, KNBN in western South Dakota, and all parts in between at Inforum.com. It is Tuesday, the 10th of February. Great to be with everyone here after, I'll just say, you know, there are days doing this job where you swim. Other days you try and tread water. Other days just sink. I'd like to think yesterday for me was between sinking and trying to tread water. It was a busy day. Appreciate all of our feedback we got on our program yesterday. I anticipate we're going to have a bunch more today, the next day, and for the few days coming on the news that went down over the weekend. I just say a salute to our entire team on the news side. We had it covered every which way, whether it be on, obviously, what happened press conference yesterday, to our engineers to making the live press conference happen there so you could able to watch it. No, plenty did yesterday, to the money angle. We had that covered. The Mountain West angle. We had that covered, to what actually FBS football is. Really good stuff. Appreciate our entire department stepping up yesterday on one of those. It's one of those days where I had this conversation with Dana Mock many years ago. Sports is news and news is sports. And that was the day yesterday that certainly reflected that. Lots more to unpack today. I mentioned you're going to hear from Mountain West Commissioner Gloria Nevarez. I visited with her yesterday afternoon. Really interesting. This is one of the rare conversations I had with a commissioner that said something. Now, there's some things she couldn't get into or refused to get into, but she was pretty open on exactly the conversations, I hate this word, the dialogue that went on over the last little bit, and we'll have that interview coming up later on in the program. I'm excited for you to meet her for the first time and get some intrigue on the Mountain West. We also are going to take a tour of the league. It's one thing to see it on a map, right, which we've done that. It's another thing to actually see the physical stadiums that North Dakota State is going to be playing 4 of its games in this upcoming fall. And again, I have to remind everybody, not every game is on the road. I think there's this notion out there that the Bison aren't going to get any home games. That's not how it's going to work. Bison are going to play 6 games at home, and they're going to play 6 games on the road. Who that is, we don't know yet. The commissioner, I asked on that yesterday. We still don't know a schedule, likely by the end of February. So we can contemplate potential road trips here, but that will not be set in stone until the end of the month, and then we'll go from there. And schedule stuff I'm going to write about sometime later this week, because you know how much of a nerd I am on that, on how NDSU is going to fill out its non-conference. Matt Larson was asked about that yesterday, that they'd like to keep one of the 2 FCS home games they had on the original schedule, whether that's East Tennessee State or Austin Peay. That's September the 5th and September the 19th were those. Then the scheduling model going forward is going to be, and this is how it works in the FBS, in the group of 6, that you play one FCS team, you play a Power 4 team on the road. That's somebody from the Big 12, the ACC, the Big 10, or the SEC. Again, let that sink in. Then a group of 6 home and home. So you would get a team from the Sun Belt, a team from the MAC, the American. You would play one of those teams on the road, and one of them would come at home. That's typically how you would fill out your non-conference. Granted, dates are scarce, not impossible. I was reminded of that as well yesterday. But that's how the scheduling will work there. And also, it goes later now. For those that have gotten used to, and I was thinking about this yesterday when I was trying to decompress, like, okay, well, we talked about Friday Night Football is certainly going to be back in the mix here, regular season-wise. I know plenty have talked about Saturday night games and sometimes later kickoffs. Yep, that's a television-directed deal. And we got a bunch of TV questions, and I wish I had more answers for you. And I'm setting aside some time on that for tomorrow's show to dive into that. But Thanksgiving is the last week of the FBS regular season. We've gotten so used to, the Bison have a bye and then head into the FCS playoffs. Well, not anymore. FBS plays Thanksgiving weekend. So be prepared for that now heading into the 2026 season. Lots to unpack. I know a lot of people also are excited. This is going to go directly to his head. McFeely will be on with us today, and I will give full props to my colleague and friend who has been on this story. He and I started working on it in 2020. Mike wrote the initial Moonshot column, and that was in, I want to say, October of 2020. We were in the midst of sitting around doing this show and not having any football to talk about and seeing others play in the FBS, and the FCS had decided to delay its season to the spring. And that's when I know Mike got on it. We had a couple of emergency podcasts we did when Oklahoma and Texas that spring announced its intentions to go to the SEC, and then everything was off and rolling. But he will be allowed to spike the football as much and as hard as he would like to coming up later today. We'll also take a tour of the Mountain West stadiums. I encourage you to stick around for that segment. If you've not seen them, we're going to go from Las Vegas to Reno to San Jose, Albuquerque, Laramie, DeKalb, you name it. We're going to hit us. We got some video, and of course Honolulu as well. We'll hit all those coming up later on in the show. But I want to first start with some nuts and bolts stuff from what went down yesterday. So officially, NDSU is now a member of the Mountain West. They'll become the 10th member of the league, and that will become official July 1, 2026. The new fiscal year starts there, and NDSU will be in it. So here are some of the specifics you need to know. Obviously, we talked about it yesterday. NDSU has to pay a $5 million transition fee to the NCAA. That's to move up from FCS to FBS. That got adjusted. It's maybe the best way to say it a couple years ago when the NCAA decided to up it. They wanted to cap off the amount of FCS teams that are moving up. It was just $5,000 a couple years ago. Now it's $5 million. So the Bison have to pay that. That is due in June. And then $12.5 million to the Mountain West Conference. And that was actually a higher amount that was negotiated down. Neither party is going to get into the specifics of why the amount is the way it is. We tried. I'm sure we'll keep trying on that to figure out why that is the case. That's the biggies on it. Scholarship-wise, obviously, NDSU is now going to go up to 85. Tim Polasek was asked about that. You're going to hear a conversation I had with Tim coming up on our second segment on what exactly entails on how they're going to spread that out, because in the FCS, you can spread out 63 what they call equivalencies among 100 guys. Some are on complete full rides. Other guys are on partial scholarships. That cannot happen in FBS football. You have to have a full ride for everybody. And remember now, with them opting into the House settlement, which was the big story of last summer, that now there's actually you can go up to 105. Very few teams have done that. I think some in the SEC have, but other than that, everybody stayed around that 85-ish mark. Means there's still walk-ons are still a thing. It's not totally eliminated, but it's certainly less at the FBS division than it is at FCS. As we just announced last week, we were talking on the guys that NDSU signed on Wednesday, on signing day, that some of them are preferred walk-ons that are now, they've been signed, they're joining the team, and when they get here in June, and now they are FBS players. It's a whole different mindset there. I want to play a little bit from yesterday. Matt Larson chatting, NDSU athletic director. This was on when I asked him on the fee and where that's going to be paid amount.
Conversations continued through December and January, and then really picked up probably the last couple of weeks where I said to President Cook, I said, I think this is going to happen. And so, I think the thing a little bit was looming out there was, his departure and, wanting to make sure that we were able to pull this together. The entry fee is $12.5 million. And that was something that we negotiated with them. And then we've been really fortunate because this has been, at least we thought there could be a possibility. We've been out meeting with donors, and I think the response from those folks before the announcement was really, really positive. And then just the reaction we've seen, I think, since the announcement has been really positive. So we got some work to do. We're going to go meet with them. But again, that's why I said Bison Nation has always answered the bell and will continue to answer the bell.
That's the big part, obviously, is where they're going to find the money. I think I had many person ask me that over the last 36 hours to 48 hours on where is this coming from. Obviously, I think they have some specific targeted people that they have looked at in terms of what they are trying to do and what they are anticipating on how that is going to work. So that is the big takeaways from yesterday. No real surprises on that. The one thing that did come out, and I know Mike wrote about this yesterday, we talked with Matt afterwards on the bowl eligibility, the CFP part of this, where when you, and the TV revenue part is a lot in the weeds for those of us that follow it. Even it's really complicated on what NDSU has access to in terms of the television contract that the Mountain West Conference signed. As we understand it right now, they don't have any access to that outside of some fourth-tier rights, which is mostly streaming, that they would have access to. They don't have access to the big money that like UNLV and Air Force are going to get out of the deal with CBS and the CW and Fox. That is something they're going to have to wait on for quite a bit, frankly, before they can get it. The CFP revenue is another thing. They have to wait off until 2032, as we understand it, for teams that are transitioning up. And other ones have gone through this. James Madison, Jacksonville State, Sam Houston, Delaware, Mo State, same thing, that they're on a plan with their particular conferences and when they can get access to television revenue and the college football playoff revenue. Now, there's been plenty of also people misconstruing as well about playoff eligibility. So again, we'll reiterate this, and we'll hammer this a while between now and August, that technically NDSU is not bowl eligible for this upcoming year and the fall of 2027. There's a 2-year transitionary period that the NCAA put out there to get everything up to date, which Larson said yesterday, and I totally agree with him, it's an antiquated rule with where we're at now with NIL and everything that's associated with it. If there are not enough, and that the NDSU's appealed that. They have appealed that they should be bowl eligible right away and eligible for the Mountain West Conference championship game, which would come the top two teams best two winning percentages make it and play for the Mountain West Conference championship. As it stands now, NDSU is not eligible for that. Now, last year you're saying, well, wait a minute, Missouri State and Delaware were in their first year of FBS football. They both played in a bowl game. That is accurate because there were not enough 6-win teams to participate in bowl games. How many opted out? We know Kansas State didn't play. We know Iowa State didn't play in bowl games. That elevated teams up, and eventually it came to Mo State and Delaware were on the list. Bam. And that could very well happen again if NDSU is able to get to 6 wins this upcoming fall. Now, they have petitioned to appeal that decision. The Mountain West apparently has supported them in that call, and we'll see where that goes. Now, granted, you still got to get to that many. You got to get to 6 wins to get on there to make sure that happens. So that's another storyline we'll be following going forward. But that's trying to clear that up as best we can. The college football playoff deal, I don't imagine that's going to that appeal will work. You'd love to see him be eligible, if possible, for the Mountain West Conference Championship. That would be outstanding. Seeing what James Madison was able to do, and they played, if I remember right, in 2022 in the Sun Belt. The Sun Belt Conference Championship, maybe they were ineligible for that. I know they appealed for it, and I have to look back. They appealed for it, maybe got denied. I remember talking with Logan Campbell about that every week on the show, of how great a year they had in their first year of FBS. I'm almost positive they got denied. Who knows? Maybe they have better chance now here in 2026. One of the many stories we'll be keeping our eyes peeled on here over the next little bit. We'll break quickly for Mountain West stuff. There are other sporting events going on in the world. Obviously, the Olympic Games are continuing. It's a big day today. The U.S. mixed curlers out of Duluth are playing for the gold medal at about an hour and 45 minutes against Sweden. So we're trying to get another gold. We're guaranteed at least one medal there. And the biggest, I'd say, event so far of the games is today. The U.S. women's hockey team is playing the Canadians coming up a little bit after 1 o'clock today as well. That's the preliminary round game. It's not for a medal. This is the final preliminary round game for the United States. Then it's on to the medal round after that, which they'll play Canada again. I don't know how I feel about them playing twice. You know, you like the uniqueness of the gold medal game, but these are the two best teams. Honestly, you could play best of 7. I don't know why they have the other countries playing, frankly, because they are so much better than everybody else. But we got that covered up later today as well. The Timberwolves are still playing as well. Thankfully, they decided to show up last night after they didn't show up against the Pelicans on Friday. And then they lost to the lowly Clippers on Sunday. They had to come right back and play again last night at home against the Hawks. And granted, Atlanta ain't all that great. There's a Julius Randle deep three. Ant steps into one, knocks it down. Minnesota set a team record last night. They scored 81 points in the first half. You see the new Timberwolf, Ayo Dosunmu, scoring there. How about that jam on the throwdown from Edwards? The Wolves were motivated last night. And then we had some fisticuffs break out. If you're getting under Naz Reid's skin, you've done something here. He got tripped. Then Mohamed Gai, he and Naz, are not thrilled with one another. He's got him by the jersey there. That's a nasty scrape. Jock Landale had to leave the game. Wolves go on. You see him reuniting with Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who is back, who got a nice ovation. He had 23 last night, the former Timberwolf. Wolves, though, snapped their skid. 138-116, the final. Edwards scored. As usual, goes for 30. Minnesota has one game left before the NBA All-Star break is this upcoming weekend. They got Portland coming up tomorrow night, and then they're off for a week and a half. The All-Star game is in L.A., at the home of the Clippers, the Intuit Dome. And then they'll be off a bit, and then it's the stretch run. Again, they played it. The All-Star break, you say it at the halfway point. The Wolves already played 55 games. It's not halfway at all. They only have 20-some-odd games remaining in the regular season. We have a packed show coming up for you here on this Tuesday morning. Just a few minutes, you'll hear from Tim Polasek, my conversation with the Bison head football coach after yesterday's press conference. Some interesting comments from the head coach. That's coming up here in just a few minutes. At 9:35, I mentioned our guy Mike McFeely will join us in studio. Plenty to unpack with Michael on the Mountain West and what's ahead. Dave Richman will join us at 10 o'clock. Bison men's basketball head coach. It's a mini bye week for NDSU. They do not play again till Saturday. Have a showdown in Grand Forks, 1 versus 3 in the Summit League as they're heading to UND to take on the Fighting Hawks. We'll chat with David about that coming up at 10 o'clock. As I mentioned, Mountain West Commissioner Gloria Nevarez will join us at 10:35 to give us the lowdown on how the Bison were invited into the Mountain West and what we have to look forward to in Mountain West football. That's coming up at 10:35. That, your emails, and a heck of a lot more. We'll try to get to everything again here today. We'll take our first break. Hot Mic is off and rolling. We're back after this on WDAY Extra, KSFL, KMBN, and Inforum.com. Underway on a busy Tuesday spectacular. Welcome back, everybody. We're going to have some fun today with a bunch of different topics regarding North Dakota State and the Mountain West Conference, including poll question today. Let's just do it. I'll rip the Band-Aid off on potential travel destinations. What one are you looking forward to the most? Now, this seems simplistic because Hawaii is obviously a potential. So we have Honolulu on there, which I'm sure is going to win with 1,000%. But Vegas is on there. Reno is not on the list. Reno, I'm told, is pretty darn cool as well. Colorado Springs I've been to. That's where the Air Force Academy is. We put Albuquerque on there. If you want to submit San Jose, certainly can. Laramie, if you want to. I've been to DeKalb. I'm going to hold reservation on that for now. El Paso I have not been to. Certainly you can vote on El Paso. That's the one part of Texas I haven't been to. So feel free to vote, and we will have our results before the show is done. Now, as I mentioned, we will hear from Gloria Nevarez coming up later on in the show. We heard from the AD. We're going to hear from the commissioner. You're going to hear now from the head football coach. I had a chance to visit with Tim after the press conference yesterday and started off basically asking him 2 years ago we were up at the Shack when he got the job. Now he's an FBS head football coach. 2 years ago, you and I were in this building when you just got this job. Now you're an FBS head coach. How does that sound?
It sounds awesome. It's exciting. It was interesting just being in there. That was my thought was, 2 years ago you're doing a press conference, taking a job, and then today the excitement level in there and the amount of people. This is good for Bison Nation. I think we have to make sure we keep circling back to how this could really benefit North Dakota State University, and everybody's in line, and now it's time to go to work.
Your experience in the Mountain West, how much can that help going forward, especially here for year one?
Yeah, I think it would be scary, honestly, if you didn't know about the travel and the complications of, time zones and how work's going to take place for the assistant coaches after a late game on a Saturday night and things that they have to have in position to get going on. I necessarily didn't enjoy my losses versus Air Force, but we have to dive in defensively on having an option football, defense that can stop the run, and so it's cool. I mean, there's a lot of great, beautiful locations in that conference, destination type places, and then the competition level is very good.
What is on the agenda now tomorrow? First thing, now that this is official.
Well, I think we have to. I made the mistake of thinking, we're FBS. This all happens tomorrow or yesterday. We've got time to evaluate our team, who does need to be bumped up to a full scholarship standpoint. I think having a really thorough plan in high school recruiting now that, you're dealing with 85 equivalencies versus 63. And so, being very well thought out as far as the high school recruiting, evaluating our team, but honestly, just staffing and how contracts will come together after July 1st and where are the additions. I really think we need another recruiting person. I really think Derek Lucan has to be adjusted to chief of staff, and so there will be an operations opportunity there. We're going to need more help in the equipment room. But that stuff, I think, can come in time because we've got the right people that are willing to do the work and sacrifice a little bit right now.
People are going to see the money amount on this, Tim, and know it's privately funded. How does that impact knowing for getting fans, getting butts in the seats, and knowing the excitement level of, there's a sizable amount of money that has to be raised to make this happen?
Well, yeah, I think the Climb the Mountain campaign is off and running. Matt has done a lot of research, and this community, I think, is really excited about this. This community is looking for that, and we went out and did some pre-work before ever getting an invitation. Is there a thirst or a hunger for this? And so we do feel like we're in good position initially here, but we have a heavy lift. When you're talking about NIL, football operations, travel, scholarships, it's going to be imperative that we get to playing with 12 again. We want 12,000 season ticket holders, and that's part of this Climb the Mountain campaign that's gonna really be geared toward those four areas, and the support that we get there is going to be one that'll position us to compete at a high level right away, and retention of our players is going to be critical. But the excitement level from the players and those things and just the opportunity in itself was pretty good.
recruiting-wise. Does this open up even more doors for you now?
Yeah, I talked to 2 or 3 recruits already that I thought they were starting to slide into a category of unrecruitable. And I think we're now, based on our tradition, based on our approach, the people, the culture, I think now there's going to be some kids that are going to have some tough decisions when they do think about coming to North Dakota State or turning this down. We're on an even playing field now in a lot of ways.
For this current group, they were prepping for a run in the FCS playoffs, a run for an FCS championship. That's obviously different now. How do you address that with the 26 team?
Well, I don't know if you do. I haven't given that much thought. They were super excited about the announcement. I think that's one thing, right? But then, in my conversations with the 10, 11 really good players that have left in the transfer portal, competition level came up a lot. And they're talking about the regular season. And so I like the idea of, okay, we've erased that to some degree. We know NIL is continuing to move forward. We're going to continue to do that the right way. But we have to move forward. If we would have put a delay on this or, okay, it's 420, then it would have been a 3-year process. And I hope our seniors and our juniors take a lot of pride in positioning this program, a little bit like Matt Grotzik. And those guys did, when he played through the knee injury and he said, there's nothing more important than the program. And I just remember those moments. And so we've done it before. And so hopefully we can lean into strong character guys.
NDSU football has had some unbelievable moments. The last 48 hours would have 2 alums win a Super Bowl, and this news, is this about as good as it gets?
I was thinking about that as I was just texting so many people last night and watching the Super Bowl. This is the most excited I've been. Jill and I, if there was a small gamble in staying here, like, okay, we hit that one, and so it's exciting times. We're excited to be the people that are in front of this thing, but it's going to take the work of all of us. It's an honor and a privilege to be this program's leader. And like I said so many times before, the former players have positioned us for the initial FCS move up, and then now this is a big deal. I mean, this is what most fans that I've talked to wanted.
So there's the head football coach discussing exactly some challenges ahead, not only off the field and certainly on the field, of what they have with spring ball about 6-7 weeks out from getting going. We'll break. We come back. Mike McFeely will join us. Lots to chat about Michael's favorite subject over the last 6 years is now reality. That's coming up when Hot Mike returns on the other side of the break. We're back after this.
Oh, it's Mr. McFeely.
I have seen the future, and he was wearing number 5, and I ain't talking about Robbie Grimsley, folks.
Took out the muffins, took out the trail mix, took out the cookies. They stole the monster cookies.
Wow, that's awesome. That is so awesome. Let's do some broadcasting.
Maybe the most anticipated segment we've had in a long time here on a Tuesday morning is when Mike McFeely joins us each and every Tuesday. It's good to see you, bud. How are you?
I think people are expecting like some sort of, a Trump-like retribution tour here, and that's not.
Oh, yes. Hold on 1 second. You're not bringing out the bowling stuff again, are you?
This is not a day for retribution.
Oh. Yes. Yes, of course.
This is a day for celebration.
Yes, exactly.
Not because, to celebrate like North Dakota State, but to celebrate the fact that I should have opened.
Oh, yeah, this could be bad here. You got a window right over there.
You keep, I'm not sure I'm going to get this off. I can't see anything.
That's all right.
No, keep on talking. We'll talk.
Well, I got a bunch of emails that wanted to hear
I can multitask.
If Mike was going to gloat at how much he wanted to spike the football today after the moonshot column that you wrote in November of 2020, if I remember correctly.
Yep, and I'm not going to do the I'm going to rain down hellfire on my enemies here. But I will say that, for the past 6 years, as I've written about this and we've talked about it
endlessly,
yep. And I keep going back to it, and I was getting the sniping from Sioux Falls and Brookings, and I was getting the sniping from Grand Forks, and I was getting the sniping from other places. I wasn't just making all this crap up.
Yeah.
I mean, there was something going on.
Yes. Yes.
And was I always right about what I had? Nope, I was not. And that includes recently when I was told that nothing going on.
Nothing happening.
I mean, a person who had been spot on with me for a year or more, just flat out either didn't know what was going on or just lied.
Yeah.
And that's part of this is...
I'm going to go with the first one, I think. Trusting from what you had told me on your source on that, I think they didn't know. I think the loop... When Kolpak and I were talking about yesterday how tight the loop was on this, it had to be extremely tight.
But another thing that we learned during this whole process is there will be people who you know well who will look at you right in the eye...
Will not tell you the truth?
And will just lie to you.
Stunner.
Have you talked to the Mountain West? No. Nope, nothing going on.
Larson was here. I asked him that exact question.
No.
Did I not? That was on camera. We have that on tape.
Have you talked to the Mountain West?
Have you or Dr. Cook talked to the Mountain West? No.
Nope.
Okay. Hey, you got it. It only took like 2.5
No, everything's fine. So here we go, Izzo.
Victory celebration.
We can have a victory celebration because North Dakota State is going to the FBS.
They are going to
and
FBS
this is something
football.
that you and I have been on for 6 years because, in part, we saw the landscape of FCS.
No doubt.
We saw what was going on. We knew some of the things going on behind the scenes, even though all of it we couldn't report accurately.
Right, correct.
Have you talked to the Mountain West at any time during the last 5 years? No. Dr. Cook, well, I won't name names. Farewell press conference.
Yeah.
Has there been anything with the Mountain? Nope. Okay, and now all of this has been heating up in the last 2 weeks.
Correct.
But
there was definitely groundwork laid.
As Matt Larson said yesterday in the press conference.
We played that earlier. Yes.
It's like, we've been talking to him on and off for, 3 years. Oh,
so
okay.
To your, let's dive into this a little bit here.
Easy when you buy the high end champagne like this is,
looks it.
You don't drink, but I'll give that to you.
I appreciate that.
We're gonna have a toast here.
So the fact that it's happening, and you and I we've been talking and texting more than people probably want to know, that it's happening this fall. That part I think is still stunning for a lot of people, that it's not the fall of 2027.
Well, but even that is purposeful.
Right.
And that came, I think, a lot from North Dakota State.
Right. We talked about that a little bit yesterday.
That they said instead of having basically a 3-year transition and going through the final year in FCS.
A lame duck FCS
A lame
season.
duck year where it's going to be all this, you're not eligible and it's just going to be, just rip off the Band-Aid and go. And then they're right when they basically say they're shortening the transition year from 3 years to 2 years, or the transition time from 3 years to 2 years. And so it's going to be difficult in many ways. And we could talk about this at a later date, but this is not going to be easy.
No,
this is going to be really hard.
Yeah. But here's the thing, though: the amount of national people talking about this yesterday. They had more attention yesterday than they had in anything ever. Anything. The amount of national people.
I don't know about that.
I thought so.
But
for the amount of people, it wasn't just hey, the Bison won the FCS championship or they beat Iowa. There was, I thought, national college football media types spending more than 5 seconds on the Bison yesterday.
Yeah, and we can debate that, but you're right. It's a lot of attention,
and think they're going to be okay in the Mountain West, by the way.
And the thing that stood out to me is, and I've said this to other people, is we've lived this for 15 years. I've covered North Dakota State for almost 30 years now, so I saw the 5,000 people in the dome when they were getting physically beat by Augustana in whatever 1990, whatever that was, 97 or whatever. And I've been at all the championship games. I've been to all the FBS victories. I've done all of all the things. But we sort of take it for granted. Like, it's like I keep telling people, like, they're really good. But, like, what I've learned is that, like, outside of here, like, they're really well respected.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, again, you hear the sniping from Sioux Falls or South Dakota and from Grand Forks, and you hear the sniping from all these other FCS schools that are stuck in their little
silo.
Their silo and their resentful bubble worlds. And you kind of get like, wow, okay, I guess outside of that resentful world, like NDSU has a pretty good reputation. And their people are going, these guys are really good.
Yes.
And they've been good for a long time.
Yeah.
And this is the right move.
Totally.
And it's, they're going to be successful because they've shown it. And that's the part that's kind of stood out to me. It's like, I mean, again, I see it every day, and you kind of go, yeah, okay, they're good, but God almighty, I'm sick of them seeing beat Murray State by 70 points.
Yes.
You know?
How many times did we do this show where we lamented, like, the league added Murray State? If there wasn't another bellwether moment when we're doing that, and I had Patty Viverito on the show, like, why was this the right move? And again, that was talking like it's time to move elsewhere.
There's
It's
just
time
a lot
to do
of
something else.
Yeah, and we'll get into this more. There's just so much.
Yes.
You often struggle sometimes in the summertime for content on this program. With all due respect, because it's summer.
Yes,
you will not be struggling in the summer for content.
Nope.
But I don't know. I'm not saying this was purposeful or that this was a spite or anything like. But one name that was not mentioned yesterday, as they were naming Craig Bowl and all these other and all the old players and all of that's accurate. Matt Entz, his name did not come up yesterday, and Matt Entz was a guy that was he was really pushing this train down the track early.
I remember the first time Matt and I talked was like in the spring of 21 when they were playing football. It's like, what are we doing? Like this is not what we need.
And I think the column I wrote saying that we should get this thing going, or not we, North Dakota State should get this thing going. I think it was in December 2020. Yep. And that's when things started. I started hearing some things like we have to get something going here. And I'll tell that story maybe later this week or next week about some of that stuff. But that was a name I think that needs to be put out there publicly as one of those people who was strongly supportive of North Dakota State going FBS was Matt Entz.
The moonshot has landed. That was the email I just got. So we can toast to that, man. To the FBS football is coming.
North Dakota State has landed on the moon. So and I said, in all seriousness, yesterday I shook the hand of President Cook and Tim Paulsek and Matt Larson, and all of us have had our moments. Over the that's just my job. That's their job and that's my job, and I'm an adult and I'm a professional, and so are they. And so we're going to knock heads once in a while. But I gave a sincere handshake and a congratulations to them yesterday. This is a big deal.
Big deal.
This is a big deal.
All right, we'll break. How about you want to take a tour of the Mountain West stadiums? You want to see what they look like?
Absolutely.
All right, so we'll do that when we come back. We'll go around the Mountain West with our guy Mike McFeely, FBS college football reporter. Can we say that now? That's coming up.
Oh, that's good.
When we come back after this.
Woo!
Here's maybe my favorite email. Is Mike more right about the FBS move or more wrong about the FCS move, or he's just now broke even? What would you say on that one? For people that don't know, you were not a champion of them moving to Division I.
Well, we'll see, right? I mean, if NDSU goes, 4-8, 4-8, 3-9, and 5-7, and there's 3,000 people at the Dome to watch, San Jose State.
Woo!
Then it would be a perfect time for me to retire. But it's look, we can't. This is a huge risk.
Yes,
everybody needs to realize that this is a huge gamble. North Dakota State, to be clear again, is going to pay $12.5 million
just to get in the party,
just to get in the door. Northern Illinois paid $2 million 1 year ago. The Mountain West asked for $15 million.
And they got that negotiated down
to 12.5. They're going to pay $5 million
just to move up. Yeah,
there are indications. We haven't seen the contract yet between the league and the school. There are indications that NDSU isn't going to get much in media money for the first 6 years of this deal. North Dakota State gave away the house
to do this.
This.
Yep.
So there is a huge risk. So nobody kid yourself about what this is. Yep. But this is what I'll say, and I think this is what Matt Larson hinted at yesterday in the press conference is, yes, there is a huge risk, but there's also a huge risk at doing nothing.
Staying, yes.
And staying where you are, because the trend has been since about the playoff games, 2017, 2018, we started to see craters in the attendance at playoff games. And the last few years...
And it cratered out in December of 2025 against Illinois State.
A good Illinois State team that was obviously had every chance to beat North Dakota State drew 10,000 people to the Dome. With a team in NDSU that had been ranked number 1 all year. Unbeaten, ranked number 1 all year, was the overwhelming favorite to win the national championship from the jump, and had at least 2 NFL players on its roster at marquee positions.
The quarterback and wide receiver.
It wasn't like it was a guy going hut and blocking.
No.
It was the guy doing this and the guy doing this down the sidelines at 21 miles an hour or whatever Bryce I mean, so like I don't know what else.
Yeah, right. Correct.
Like what else? The head coach is people griped about Entz. Oh, he's always so grumpy. Oh, he's not a media savvy guy. Okay. Everybody loves Tim. And he is in front of every camera that he will
any chance he can.
I mean, Tim Paulsek's doing, Jimmy Shimtree podcast in somebody's garage to get the word out about Bison football, and there was 10,000 people there. So what does this look like in 3 years if they stay, or in 5 years?
It ain't going to be good.
Nothing's changing.
Nope.
Well, you got to get the South Dakota State game. Okay,
great.
So you're going to sell out one game a year.
And UND game.
Oh, you're going to get the UND game.
Right.
Okay, you're going to sell out one game that year.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
Great. All right, shall we go around the league? You want to see where the potential destinations are? So I put together a video here. It's a video tour. We're going to take it together. For people on the podcast, you're going to have to imagine where we go. So let's roll it, and we'll start. I believe this is the Air Force Academy. This is one of the bigger stadiums in Colorado Springs. That seats about 38,000. That's pretty darn
twice
good.
As big as
the Fargo
place here.
Yeah, so that place, pretty darn nice. That's in Colorado Springs. Potentially, we don't know yet. Bison could go there. Here's the University of New Mexico, located in Albuquerque. Another 38,000 seat stadium there, Michael.
So there are no stadiums with stands on one side of the field?
Wait. Yes, there is. I'm telling you, I'm blown away. Wait till we get. This one's nice.
Look how nice
it is. Right,
New
Mexico one. I mean, that's obviously where Jason Eck is. Who?
So my next obsession has to be that NDSU needs a new football stadium in Fargo.
Good luck on that one. Can't even get it renovated in town, let alone a new stadium. So, that's New Mexico.
Well, that's gorgeous.
There's UTEP, literally the Sun Bowl.
Yeah,
people have watched the
famous,
Sun Bowl. That's forever.
Historic stadium.
Built into the side of a mountain there in El Paso, Texas. Of course, they're one of the new full members of the league coming. Right?
That's gorgeous.
Let's go. We could do UTEP there potentially this upcoming football season. Here's San Jose State. And here's the one I'm talking about. They have seating on one side and not on the other.
Wow!
Not on the other. It's San Jose State.
Wow.
So they got a little area there, but that's
interesting,
right? So that's the one side of it, which looks
like Murray
pretty nice.
State. It looks great on one side. The other side, you're looking at a
not
Home
great.
Goods across the road from the Murray State Stadium.
That's Laramie. For people obviously that have been there, that Bison fans went out there in 2008, War Memorial Stadium, which is obviously elevated there.
Yes.
They've done some massive renovations that Paulsek told me about when he was out there, but Wyoming is legit stadium as well.
That's one of the other things to remember is North Dakota State, facilities-wise, had an advantage in FCS.
Correct.
All these, not all, most of these places are equal to or better than what NDSU has right now.
Absolutely. Here's Northern Illinois. Obviously, now the Huskies are going to be a football-only member. That's the stadium in DeKalb. Paulsek, you remember, was a coach there in 2013. What do you make of that one?
Kolpak and I have a couple of friends from Illinois who would meet us on the road for some of these Illinois State and Southern Illinois games. And they sent us pictures. When the news broke, they were sending us pictures of Northern Illinois State. We'll see you next year.
And then here's Hawaii, Michael. Now, they've done a whole brand new stadium out there that they've been working on for the last couple years.
Is this the one they're playing in now?
Correct. That is where.
This is not the new one, though, is it?
That's the new one.
Okay.
And then this is Nevada, which is in Reno, which that one's not bad either.
No, these are all dynamite places. This is yes, the Missouri Valley Football Conference is the best conference in FCS. You and I have also been to places like the Citadel and other non-Valley. This is a huge upgrade, and then even over the Valley.
And then the last one is obviously Allegiant Stadium. That's where UNLV plays its games, which I didn't count as the largest one because it's an NFL stadium, which UNLV is obviously better. UNLV won 10 games this past year.
Dan Mullen.
But that's where UNLV plays its games in Las Vegas.
This is a whole different world, man.
This
is a whole different world. And that's why, again, this is one of the reasons why for 6 years I have obsessively banged the drum about North Dakota State getting to the Mountain West because they're in a different neighborhood.
Totally.
I mean, they're not, God bless Vermilion, South Dakota. I'm not, but sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, the Dakota Dome and Vermilion and
they did plenty to upgrade that.
Yes,
it's
fine.
It's still a 50-year-old building.
Yep, and I didn't see anything like the Dakota Dome.
No.
I didn't see Memorial Stadium in Terre Haute, Indiana.
No.
I didn't see, whatever.
Murray State has.
Right. It's just sorry.
Even Stambaugh Stadium in Youngstown, right?
Yeah.
Nothing like that.
No,
That's
this is
totally
they've moved from one neighborhood to the other neighborhood. And again, as I kept pounding the table for 6 years, is this also then moves Fargo?
Yes.
The entire university, the region,
North Dakota,
the state of North Dakota.
Yes.
It's like, okay, now they're you're going
You're an
to
exclusive club now.
You're going
man.
to San Jose, which is a quick train ride to San Francisco. You're going to Las Vegas, Albuquerque,
Reno, Honolulu.
It's a different neighborhood.
No doubt about it. Last thing before we break, and this is something I want to save for future conversations down the road. How do you think fans are going to adjust to now late night Saturday football, Friday night football?
Because this is a longer discussion, but it's going to be an adjustment. I know that one reason Matt Entz at one point kind of switched, like they should go to the American Conference, was that's a Central Time Zone conference, because he said, you know what, I mean, those late night games are going to be tough. And when they played Arizona at 10 o'clock, I think local, Entz said his inbox was full of pleasantries.
Angry fans, no doubt.
So that's going to be an adjustment.
No doubt.
And that's going to be something different. There's no doubt about it.
We will hit that topic. We have plenty more topics to hit here over the next few months between now and
I'm swimming.
early September.
It's just so much good stuff. So much good stuff.
Congratulations. The moonshot landed. There you go.
One more.
We'll toast that. The Bison end of the Mountain West Conference in football.
Could you expense this for me?
Well, I'll bring it right upstairs on that one. Absolutely.
I mean, it's literally like $7 for that bottle of champagne.
$8.49.
So you're saying Andre Champagne is like a $2.95 bottle of champagne, and the glasses were probably more expensive. But give that to Roar or Stace or somebody.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll go over real well. Thanks for coming by. We'll break. Dave Richman coming up other side of the break. Get ready for some NDSU hoop. First place Bison back on the road this week. We'll discuss that.
Think about that.
Right.
There's a huge game this weekend for the men's basketball team.
We got UND. We'll chat about that when we come back.
This is Hot Mike. Hot Mike. On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
I think just like Dom's outfit, they're not always pretty. Sometimes they're really ugly. But just been all over Amazon and just about every site looking for these mustard pants.
My wife will tell you, she must have burned mine. People actually listen to your show.
They watch.
They watch it.
Yeah.
Play defense in that first half like Dom transitions to you after the game. It's way too long, way too lazy, but you got all these answers. I'm going to bring you over and have you do our non-conference schedule.
I'd love to. I'd love to go to Grand Canyon,
I would
man.
love.
Hey,
well, you
doing
can
that
come with.
game.
That's not the thing.
I love when you're on Dom. You're so transparent. And I'm like, so two things are happening. That one, people are watching your show, listening.
Yes.
Right? That caught me a little off guard. I'm just being honest.
We know people are watching at this time segment because it's time for NDSU men's basketball coach David Richman to join us. His appearances are brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. Bison have the mini bye this week with one game, and they're heading to Grand Forks to play University of North Dakota coming up on Saturday. I know you were in the room yesterday. I got to ask you, just as you've been in this athletic department for your entire adult life, what was yesterday like for you? Oh, okay.
Can you hear me?
I got you down there. There you go, brother. You
haven't got the breaking news yet?
What's that?
Well, there's a press conference here later on. We're actually going to the NBA. So I just want to, this show is all about breaking news.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. We're 10-1. We got every single thing figured out in the world.
I'm sure you do.
And I just think it's time.
Time to be done. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. I thought it was an incredible day. I really did, and I'm excited for a lot of people. Proud of our leadership. They've done a tremendous job, but I'm really excited for our fans. I'm really excited for Bison Nation, Dom. But I'm also very intrigued to see, how Bison Nation continues to show up and support, and hear that however you want, accept that as a challenge. Meaning, Matt Ant said it one time. I feel like all of us, at different times, in particular, probably over in the football office, it's a sprint. You're working your tails off to be successful. But, Matt said it like you feel like you're doing it on a treadmill, at times. And, it's a little bit of a catch-22, meaning we've had a lot of success, and success is something really, really special. Sometimes success isn't appreciated enough, and I'm gonna bang on the table a little bit, because what a bunch of programs have done across the board at NDSU is really, really special, and sometimes you don't appreciate that, and so I think we need to make sure and appreciate it now, especially for the football program. There's a different level, and now we've hit that, we've moved up to that level. And I know, I'm very convicted that this will be a very, very seamless process, just because of the way we operate, from a state, from a university, from an athletic department, from programs. I'm excited. I'm excited for a lot of people. I'm excited for Tim and his staff. Really, I'm proud isn't the word, but what Matt Larson did. I know you sit in that seat. Hey, when you going? You should be going. You did it. There's a lot more that goes into it. And, behind the scenes, obviously him and Cook and, intern President Burke, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool opportunity. Historic day yesterday.
You've been to, I'm just talking off air here. I know you played.
UNLV.
Yeah, I know
yeah.
You've been obviously to Vegas. You've been to Nevada. You've been to New Mexico. Wyoming, I know you played at. Just describe for people that are getting used to the towns out there, David, that the Bison football team will be heading to here.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly going to be a little bit, different in its extent, but maybe like the Wyoming's a little bit tougher to get to from a fan's perspective with football, chartering in it. They probably won't experience it, but I also kind of feel like a lot of it is, the Wyoming, the New Mexico. College feels like there's college towns. There's not much else going on. Then you have some other places where, Tim would kill me. San Jose, I'm not sure they realize they have a football team or a basketball program. In Vegas, believe it or not, there might be a couple of other things going on. Too, but some cool experiences. And I sit here I need to pull up the Google thing and figure out actually who's in the Mountain West.
Yeah, correct.
That's part of it. But I mean, it'll be great. I will be sitting first class with, Tim and Matt when we go to Hawaii. I've already offered myself that seat.
Stunner on that you volunteered
actually,
yourself.
I'll just fly with you, Don.
Hey, come on. You already told me you can't sit next to me on any sort of airplane, so I don't know how a flight over the Pacific would work for either one of us.
Did I say that?
Yes, you definitely said that a few weeks ago. We were talking about window or aisle, and then you said I
that's right.
Here's something I know you're going to be completely uncomfortable with, but I got to ask. You've hit 20 wins again. What's that mean to you?
You're right. I'm not sure I have an answer. I'm that uncomfortable. Means I've surrounded myself with good people, and we have a lot of work to do. I will say this. I'm proud of that mark. I am. And we are now. We're proud of that mark, and we're coming up over 12 years of doing this, and to be just, I think we're just a little bit in between 19 and 20 on an average, and, depending on how we finish, we can, and so I think it's a remarkable feat at the mid-major level. I think it's remarkable when you also throw in the fact that, you've had a COVID year where there's shortened games. You talk about the most, transformational time in college basketball with portal and NIL and the uncertainties and all those things. I'm very proud of what we've been able to do. When it comes to this season, unfinished business. We have a lot of work to do, and we have aspirations of, a lot more than 20 wins.
I got to ask, how important was Saturday, knowing the door opened a bit with a loss to Denver, to come back and have Omaha was thirsty for a win, obviously, since they lost in Grand Forks, to have that kind of performance and back it up and win the game Saturday?
Well, I think one of the strengths that I have is I really have the ability to be present, Dom, and what's in front of us, and this is what matters, and this is nothing else should be thought about or going about like here, this, and that, and there. And I think that's a quality that I have because I didn't play college basketball at a very high level. At the other extent, I really appreciate and I respect the question, meaning I think there was a lot to it from our kids' perspective. Are we going to be vulnerable? Are we going to relax? Are we going to be, a little disappointed, pissed off in the way coach is talking to us now? And do we have the ability to respond? And, we practiced this morning. I just got done showing them about a 6-minute stretch in the second half where we got to continue to be better. But, by all accounts, that was one of our better basketball games besides that stretch. And I think Omaha is a very talented team. I think not that we survived, but we took a very, very valiant punch, from them, especially Paul Jobé. And we came out victorious. And I wish we wouldn't have lost Thursday. I really do. And I don't feel like we needed to, obviously. But I think it's also like if it was going to happen, there was a time and place. And we had a very focused group, an intentional group here this morning, had a very pointed conversation where I felt like some slippage has come into our program behind the scenes with, maybe your body weight or your body percentage or your work habits or touching this line, dotting that line. How important is this gap? Are you willing to make this? Because it's very easy to get focused on results. But that's not how we've, pretty much averaged 20 wins. It's about a process of better. And so hopefully Thursday was a refocus.
We talked a little bit, I want to hit him again on what Feddersen has done here in his new role, and he just keeps performing for it. And I know maybe that's not surprising to you, maybe on the outside for people in this day and age where, well, I got something taken away from me, I'm going to go pout. Noah's done the opposite of that. I mean, he took a shot the other day, too. He was telling Sam afterwards he lost a contact lens and everything. Just what to me, Dave, it's been really impressive over this last 5-game stretch. You don't win any of those games, I think, without what he's done.
I think, to your point, there's basketball to it, right? And he makes a shot or he's doing this cover. But, to me, there is so many freaking life lessons, that I hope people are paying attention to. The reality is we're going to fail and we're going to make mistakes and we're not going to be perfect people. And that's just going to happen. Figure it out, people. Get over it. But what will shape you is how you respond from those failures. When you respond from adversity. And you're right. You have choices. I enjoy giving speeches to corporations, and so many of us want to do this. I'm going to point my finger at Dom Izzo, and I'm going to blame Dom Izzo. And the reality is what Noah was able to do, and what we pride ourselves in our program is turning that finger and pointing it at ourselves. What can I do better? Mm-hmm. And if you look at Noah during that stretch, before Christmas and, right during Christmas, or there was a lot of palms up. There was blame the officials, blame here, look the other way, like that. And then there's just been a reshape. And there's been a reshape. I'm going to get my butt up in the morning and I'm going to work. And then I'm going to do this. And I'm going to, all the little things that people don't see. He's doing those things. Yeah. And we had Stephen Glasser just released a book, and he's been involved in our program. It was obviously, AO1 and Carson Wentz. And, he talks about 86% of life, right, is just owning the ordinary, mastering the mundane. Mm. It's the things that you just, you constantly maybe just take for granted, but that's life. But this day and age is so much focused on the 14%. What the style things that are out on social media, and that's just not the case. Are those things happening? Yeah, they are, but that's not the guts behind it. It's work. It's embracing hard. It's failing and then getting back up. And I don't know, again, like that's a message. I don't care that's a message to parents. One of our daughters had a little struggle on serve receive, right? Good. I talked to my wife, that's great. That's awesome. Now what's she going to do about it?
Yep.
That's what are you going to watch film? Are you just going to cry about it, or what are you going to do about it?
So now you got me inspired here. I'm going to go back and watch my show from yesterday and see what we did better, and I'll let you know, because I'm sure there's plenty of things we could do better. So I'm going to be inspired from what you just said.
Hey, you just said your show. So, yeah, there's a lot of things we can do better here.
I got to ask, here's a ridiculous basketball question, so here you go. With Andy Stefanowicz, if he's making shots, does that make him – he's a dynamic playmaker, and we talked about Andy a couple weeks ago, but when that goes in, how much does that change his mentality, ability on the court, that he feels even more confident go and make a shot when they go in early in a game?
Well, I think it takes us from being a really, really good team to a great team. That young man is playing remarkable, especially on that end of the floor. Again, you take it like we scored 90 on Saturday.
Yep.
And he's making shots. You go back to we scored 90 some at Drake, and he was really making shots. But I think the beauty of Andy and Andy's game is he can do those things, but if he's not, he can still really impact winning. And I said it, on a different platform. Our alumni were around, and I was with Ben Woodside on Saturday. Yeah. And multiple times, Ben Woodside, arguably the best player to ever put on a Bison uniform, he wanted to talk about Andy Stefanowicz. And he wanted to talk about his game. That's really cool to me. Really cool.
I know we'll break here after this question. You had you're back in the locker room, but you had a bunch of alumni there on Saturday. What's that mean? You mentioned Ben. I got to see Luke Moore. I saw a bunch of old guys back. What does that mean, the fact they came back to school and to see you guys play on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, it's goosebumps, right? Like, you're always observing, you're always learning. And I thought, Matt Larson, Dave Cook, President Cook, and Tim Polsick did a tremendous job yesterday of touching the right people and thanking the right people. But in particular, Tim talked about the Bison Players Association and the alumni, the people that have laid the foundation. And, again, transparent Dave, that's always one thing that's bothered me. I've been a little bit jealous of, is because of the history and tradition of Bison football and some of the continuity. You've seen coaches be here for long times. And it's a numbers game too, but they have a great foundation of alumni and support in doing those things. And so for us to start to grow those numbers, me being here for, a while, and even guys that had left our program. I saw Josh Strite and Andrew Morgan, were back. Yeah, and Strite was probably in neutral colors, because he played for both teams and all those things. But still, they're back. And that's really fun. It's even some of the conversations that we were having at the bar on Saturday, you talk a lot about portal and, and money. And Luke Mormon goes, I still don't know if you can ever put a price on this right here. And, the bonds and the relationships too. And so, there's a lot of merit in that, man. There is the legacy piece, the friendship piece, the love piece, but it's also a different time. So you embrace it all and enjoy it all, but really cool to have them back there. They are the foundation of what we're about.
Let's break. We come back. We'll chat with Dave about the game coming up on Saturday with UND, and down the stretch, just 5 games left in the regular season, which is crazy to say. Back on Hot Mic right after this. All right, back here, NDSU men's basketball coach Dave Richman joining us. A few more minutes here. Bison have just the one game this week at UND on Saturday at 1. I mentioned when we went to break, just 5 games left here, buddy boy. This is why I know you liked what you want to say on the air and you can't, but this is the stretch run of what we have left in the regular season now.
Yeah, we actually practiced obviously early this morning, and so I got to see Elliot, one of our custodians. He does the night shift, and so I never get to see him unless it's early in the morning. And he mentioned that same thing, and he's like, "It's crazy. There's 5 left." And I really felt like, again, to pat myself on the back in the wrong way, I felt like last week and this week were really big weeks, meaning it's just the dog days, and it's are you having fun? do you see it? Is the light quite at the end of the tunnel? And so I wanted to shape our guys a little bit. That was part of the reason that we were up this morning. But yeah, you're right. It's crazy. All of a sudden, you do this, you do that, you hit, and you before you know it, it's Christmas, and then you come back, and all of a sudden, you're 11 games deep into the conference season. So it is what it is, but we've got some monster games left, 2 rivalry games on the road back to back. That you still got to go to St. Thomas. Then you got another UND still comes back to our place, Kansas City. Like I get it, hear me out, but like there's a team that's got nothing to lose.
Right, correct.
Coming into our place. So again, what does it go back to? The same things why we've been, in my opinion, very successful. Like let's get better. I thought we did those things this morning, reshaped, get rid of some of our slippage, and all those things will take care of itself.
Email comes in. Dom, can you ask Dave how Damari responded for his first 2 games back after missing a couple weeks?
I thought it was good. I do. I do think he was in a different rhythm, in a different space on Thursday. Again, no excuses. And then we had that unbelievable almost 10-minute stretch of play.
Crazy, yes.
And I've heard it from some of our guys about, that's an excuse because Denver went through the same thing we did. Now, for Damari, I don't know if it was the best thing for him. I really don't. I thought that threw him for a loop and maybe wore his legs out a little bit too. Again, I'm not making excuses. In the grand scheme of things, we needed him back. We needed him back to start getting in a flow and a rhythm. I thought you saw that maybe what he wasn't on Thursday. Down the stretch he was on Saturday. Yeah. And so right? The good to have that version back.
UND has, I think, surpassed almost everybody's expectations of how they played this season. What do you make of Paul Sather's team and what you're going to see on Saturday?
Well, Paul's always been a very good coach, and I just really respect that, and I think you also really appreciate too how you can shape a team or reshape a team, and at times, especially early in the season, didn't look like things were going great. Yep. And things have clicked, and you've got a group of guys that are flying around. You got a group of guys that you can kind of maybe tell they're hearing the noise about there wasn't many expectations, and they're flying around, and they've created some things to disrupt defensively. They're playing with a ton of confidence offensively. Again, I think at their best, like us, they're getting stops and playing. And they're winning games. Bottom line is, and so this, that, and the other, and overcoming adversity, like again, outsider looking in, you respect those things. So we know this, especially up at their place, and the way we've, excuse my French, pissed it down our leg the last two times. We'll be ready on Saturday.
Eli King is a guy well, trying to guard him. What makes him such an intangible kind of guy for UND?
Eli King, Tony Osborne, Omaha, Gary, South Dakota State, outsider looking in. Those are guys that I would love to have in our program and coach, right? They're about the right things. There's no BS. There's not a whole bunch of, this or that. They're substance guys. They're toughness guys. And Eli King just makes a lot of winning plays. It's winning plays sometimes that don't show up either. The offensive rebound plays are loud and big. He shoots it better than you think. You give him credit for it. He plays his tail off. You go back to last year, 2 years ago, he blocked Jakari at the end of the game. Yeah. It's those kind of winning plays that I think his teammates really feed off too. He's a selfless dude. And when you have that at the top, again, just, a ton of respect for Eli King.
Knowing full well that atmosphere up there, how much is that, I guess, quote unquote, enjoyable? Is it enjoyable to coach in, or just more? Certainly, it's more enjoyable when you win. I know.
I love it. I mean, to me, it's what it's all about. And it's one of those things. Usually during the moment, I'm not really, understanding, it, and then you go back. It's like at Denver, we had all of a sudden we had created this thing, and their students are, and so. That's college basketball. I watched Arizona and Kansas last night, and I spent some time with Coach Self, and he talks about that environment's worth 10 to 15 points every night, and at the end of the day, I just had a conversation with one of our new guys, just tough together. I think Sam Niederman told us, like, we are behind Belmont. We are the second in the country with 8 road wins. And the only way you do that is be tough and together, and we're going to have to be really tough and really together on Saturday.
Is that one? How proud are you of that? And road wins are hard. You tell me that all the time. To have that many this year, that you got to be. I know you're not going to take a whole lot of credit, but you got to be proud of that one.
I'm extremely happy because I remember when Saul was here and we put it on the mark, and you look at at how ESPN does their scores. The home team is on the right, and it's always dark on the right. Like, I think more than any other sport, college basketball winning on the road is really tough.
Hard.
And
Yes.
you gotta overcome travel and environment, and sometimes officiating when the crowd gets into that effect too. And so I said it too to somebody. I thought one of the turning points of our season is the win at Montana, where we got the win, but how we got the win when they came back and you handled it pretty good in a little environment. You just build something, and you build some grit to you, and obviously extremely proud of our program, and in particular this group of guys for figuring that out.
Last thing, another email comes in. Dom, he asked Dave how good or where's Jobay rank in players that he's seen over the last little bit. He was pretty good.
Jobay is an extremely talented young man. Like, he's got great size, he's got a physicality to him. And I think the thing that that he did, he'd only been shooting like the last 10 games. He was like 3 for 10, so 30%. Then he shot the ball extremely well. When you got somebody like that with that size, that physicality that can beat you at multiple levels, he's a tough guard. And I got the question at halftime from our staff. I got the question after the game from some media. He did get us and some things that obviously we got to take a look at. But at the end of the day, it's about us versus them, not us versus one guy. And so we'll certainly take the result, but also learn from it. And how do we be better in certain situations? And there's plenty of those things.
Great to see you, boss. Thanks as always for the time. Safe travels and good luck on Saturday. All right.
Go Bison. Appreciate you guys.
There he goes. Dave Richman joins us each and every Tuesday at 10. Bison, just the one game, Saturday, 1 o'clock in Grand Forks against UND. We'll break. When we come back, you'll meet the Mountain West Commissioner, Gloria Nevarez, on why they wanted North Dakota State. That's coming up when we return. Welcome back, everybody. Again, look at our poll question. Got a ton of votes on this for Bison football fans. What destination are you looking forward to the most in the Mountain West? Between Vegas, Honolulu, Colorado Springs, Albuquerque. We had a bunch of write-in votes as well. We'll give the results on that before we say goodbye. Yesterday, as part of the hullabaloo, hubbub, whatever you want to phrase it, we had a chance to visit with the commissioner of the Mountain West Conference, and Gloria Nevarez, who's been in this position for the last 3 years, oversaw basically her league blowing up with Boise State, Colorado State, San Diego State, Utah State, Fresno State leaving and going to the Pac-12. There were talks, we had it on this program, that the league may dissolve. It is not, and now yesterday they added North Dakota State as the 10th football member. First question I had right off the hop, and you'll enjoy, I think, this conversation. She's pretty forthright with as much as she can be, is frankly why NDSU was appealing to them.
I took the job in 2023. Expansion was already the hot topic. It had been out in the ether, in the news. And so ever since 2023, we have been actively thinking about looking at membership. Of course, when 5 of the schools left for the Pac-12, we went into kind of extra mode, and then we've settled back down. And, North Dakota State has always been on our radar. I've always appreciated and had a high level of respect for what they've done. I think they fit with us both geographically and mission value culturally. They look a lot like the schools in the Mountain West, and they make our football better.
The biggest thing, I think, is the immediacy. Why so soon? Was that driven by North Dakota State? Was that your end? Because typically with this, it's normally a year plus run up. Why this fall?
It's interesting. It doesn't feel soon to us because we've been, like I said, looking at expansion since 23. And then, of course, the next year we had the departure. There were some political headwinds against elevating FCS schools to FBS, both at the CFP level and NCAA policy. The NCAA dictates the transition policy and So when we were looking to replace the 5 schools, we, weren't sure if those transition policies were going to change, or, if you commit to elevating a school and then 2 years later the goalposts move, that wouldn't have been good for either. So at that time, we put a pause on looking at FCS schools. Recently, we have, solidified our membership. We have a grant of rights in place, at least through 32. We just announced our media rights deal. So we have a lot of solid footing and are now, looking strategically long-term. How do we continue an upward trajectory?
Is that more the moratorium was done on FCS schools moving up that basically opened the door here?
It was less about, and I can't speak to a moratorium specifically, but it was more about the threat that they might close the loop, not the loophole, close the process or make it more difficult. But certainly you saw they raised the entrance fee, and that was step one. We weren't sure if there were more requirements or maybe a longer wait period, whatever, you don't know. We passed the point in which we thought that those rules might be changing. We felt better about looking at elevating FCS.
Were there some presidents that you had to do some arm twisting with to say this is the right fit for us?
I wouldn't say there was any arm twisting. It was previously, like I said, more about political headwinds and policy. This time around, it was, we had some ADs kind of joke off the cuff, like, I wouldn't play them unless they were in our league because they're that good.
Yeah. What was the reaction, I guess, from the other presidents? I guess this is going to be a done deal. Can you describe that?
Honestly, excitement. They have a lot of respect for the university academically. Presidents have that filter as well. The impact on football, the data shows itself. So it really was excitement and a lot of goodwill.
The entry fee, Commissioner, is that something that the league established, or how much negotiation is there between the conference and the school on the entry fee?
I don't want to comment on the particulars of the agreement or the negotiation, but I will say it was collaborative, and definitely I think we both feel really good about it.
The big question I think everyone out here is schedule, and I know you haven't put one out yet. Was this in anticipation of adding a 10th member?
Yes, and our Associate Commissioner for Football, John Sullivan, is in charge of the schedule, and he said, we got this. As long as we can close a deal by late January, early February, we're still on track.
When do you anticipate releasing a schedule? Do you know yet?
I got to ask John, but I don't think it'll be later than February.
Okay. With the new media rights deal done as well, what does that do exposure-wise for your league? I know you put out in a statement that the legacy schools are still getting as much as they were in the previous deal. How much does North Dakota State have access to that initially, or is that something they have to wait to get to that pool of money?
Again, I don't want to comment too much on the details of the membership agreement, but I will say as a football-only full participant, they will be eligible for selection, and we're really excited in the media rights package. We have continued our relationships with CBS and Fox, and that's really big for us. Two major partners in the sports space that have been with us for some time, that know us well, really good about promoting us. Adding the CW, also getting serious about being in the sports space. But the fourth partner, Kiswe, and putting a paywall around our Mountain West network is also really exciting in the upward potential. It was modeled based on conservative estimates regarding viewership, subscriptions, but there's also an upside there to sell sponsorship. Each school will have its own portal to the greater channel, but skinned in their colors and logos. And so any subscriptions you bring in through the pull-down menu, who are you following, Bison, then that money or a lion's share of it will go back to that institution.
Travel-wise, I know is always a thing. Granted, it's football, so you're flying anyway, but you describe concern, maybe is too strong a word. You're going from Hawaii to Illinois now with North Dakota thrown in there. Can you describe how far-flung the league is now?
We've always been an airplane league. That is the nature of being FBS in the West. We just don't have the population of schools that you do in the Eastern Seaboard. And so we've gotten pretty adept at trying to the best that we can balance schedules, start times, and long travels, and rest between your long travels against opponents. So while we very much understand it's taxing, in the sport of football, it's a little bit easier to manage in that you're only traveling once a week and typically by charter. So that's where we felt comfortable stretching our boundary a little bit, but in the entirety of our expansion efforts, regionality was important to us.
Everyone has asked me, Commissioner, to explain the Hawaii schedule. Can you do that? Because I think North Dakota State fans are how it's worked in the past and potentially how it could work now with a 10-team league.
I'm going to have to punt that question because I got to wait to see what our football guy comes up with as far as schedule. But there will be some triangulation with the long travels, Northern Illinois, Fargo, Honolulu.
How has it worked in the past? Can you describe that, at least for your teams traveling to Honolulu? How does that work for football? Is it like every 4 years? What's the rotation like, I guess?
I believe it's every other, but
okay,
don't quote me on that.
Okay. Did your president's athletic directors?
Sorry, an interesting note that this rule might go away, but for right now, recall if you play a game against Hawaii at Hawaii, you now get to schedule a game in week 0. So that's always been something that's very attractive to the Mountain West.
Yep. For your athletic directors, presidents, was there any information needed? Does North Dakota State, I know it's well known, but I think for fans here, they don't know your schools as well. Was it flipped like that? Did they know much about North Dakota State, or did you have to inform them throughout this whole process?
I would say it's a combo. There was a high level awareness of what North Dakota State had achieved in football at the FCS level. But, when you consider membership, you go a lot deeper. Yeah. You go into an academic profile. You go into budgets and facilities and historic trending, scrubbing any kind of, are there any warts on the resume? So it was just a much deeper dive for everyone. But I think everyone in both the AD and president room had a high level familiarity of the athletic success.
Stadium size gets brought up a lot here as well. Can you describe how the Fargo Dome sits with the rest of your stadiums in the league?
I do think it's comparable to bottom third, but percentage fill to capacity and ticket sale is definitely middle, if not high end of the conference.
How appealing was that in adding them?
Again, part of that deeper dive, really looking at the demographics, how tickets sell both at home and on the road. It was evident that your fans do like to travel, as you already asked about the Hawaii trip, but also how that might translate to tune-ins and viewership and subscriber. And just you can feel as the news came out, the volume of interested fan base just on the microcosm that is social following and interaction.
Looking ahead for the college football playoff, and that's another whole bite at the apple that we're getting used to now. Looking forward now for how that looks and the Mountain West position at that. Can you give me your, overview on where things are going, knowing expansion is likely coming in 27 or 28, and how the group of 6 schools have positioned themselves there?
Yeah, and as the entirety of expansion unfolded, access for the group of 6 was always a very important thing, because you'll see in the last 2 years alone the relevancy and attention that it has brought to our conference races and conference championship is something you can't replicate on your own. And if you're not playing for something, you're not playing for anything. So it has been absolutely an amazingly successful property in its own right, but really pumped up that conference race. And so that's what we aim to be. We know we're not going to be a Power 4 level spending NIL, but we compete. And if we are always in the running for that spot and getting that spot on a regular basis, that is our goal.
Bowl tie-ins, where are you at with that right now, Commissioner? I know the LA Bowl, I think they announced they ceased operations. I know you had a tie-in with that. Where are things at, or how, in flux are things right now with the bowl tie-ins?
You know, we describe the bowl situation as almost musical chairs, but the music keeps going because the first domino that has to fall is a determination of what the CFP field size is going to be and the weeks and how many teams will be in that versus in the bowl ecosystem. And so that didn't happen until January 23rd. Did we get finality, at least for next year? And again, as you mentioned, many folks think this conversation is going to flow into 27. So the big question is, do we re-up bowl agreements for 1 year or the next 4 to 5? So we're constantly in that world, talking to our partners and lining up our bowl agreements for definitely for next year for 26, but also still kind of waiting for the music on 27 and beyond.
For NDSU's purposes, Commissioner, they would be bowl eligible this year if there aren't enough bowl teams to qualify. Do I understand that correctly?
Correct.
And the Mountain West Championship game, would they be eligible to participate in that this fall if they were to make it?
No, we have a bylaw that if you're not eligible in any sport, then you're not eligible for the Mountain West Championship. So if you're not eligible for NCAA postseason, or in this case, CFP postseason, you wouldn't be eligible for our championship for obvious reasons.
I was in Las Vegas 2 summers ago when the Big 12 had its media day, and I know you guys were out there as well, and I believe now the league offices have relocated there. Describe that, of the importance of being there. You have a team obviously there, and what that strategy was of moving the league offices to Las Vegas.
Our lease was coming due in Colorado Springs, and back in the day, we had incentives to locate the office. It's been a wonderful home, and it was definitely center of the footprint back in the day when we were stretched a little bit more east. And so when we had an opportunity to look around, Las Vegas seemed to be made sense as a geographic center, what Las Vegas has become to sports, national conferences, and our own championships. The ability to get quick flights and hotels to host coaches meetings, board meetings, and things like that really just made a lot of sense for us.
I would say for my show, can you give us your best pitch for the Mountain West for NDSU fans that are maybe hung up on FCS and they're going to miss the playoffs? I would say give your best commissioner pitch on why FBS in the Mountain West is the best home for North Dakota State.
Well, we find talent and we elevate it. Even before transfer portal and NIL, this league was scrapping and constantly battling, but always competitive. And in the bowl space, BCS, now the expanded CFP, we have national television partners that are so excited to broadcast our games in CBS, Fox, CW, and opening up this new platform on Kiswe. And I think fans will really enjoy the destinations that you get to travel to in the Mountain West. You mentioned Hawaii, the Bay Area, you've got Albuquerque, all like wonderful vacation destinations, Colorado Springs and Air Force. And it's just, it's an amazing travel footprint.
Last thing, I really appreciate you doing this on a busy day. Is there anything surprised you, the reaction you've over the last, 36 hours, once it's become official, out of your office or your schools about this edition? What have you, it's gotten a ton of attention nationally, it appears as well, which I don't think necessarily happen a lot for editions in realignment.
I would say I felt strongly. I knew it would be positive. I was pleasantly surprised at, to your point, how the national media has picked it up and how positive it's been, not only internally from colleagues and our own constituents, but externally as well.
When you have an update to Fargo, you have that mapped out yet or not yet?
Not yet, but it will be soon. It'll be my first time. I'm excited.
Have you had a chance to, have you seen adjacently North Dakota State football in your travels, or what have you heard about the Bison and their fans?
Yeah, like I said, I had a high level of awareness, how they were doing, following the championship runs, that type of thing. But the deep dive and seeing what you've done in facilities and the Fargo Dome, it's an amazing. I look forward to seeing it in person.
Conversation with the commissioner of the Mountain West. Good stuff there. We'll take our last break. We come back. We'll wrap it up. Get you ready for a busy Tuesday. Hot Mike wraps after this. Packed show is in the books here for a Tuesday. Tomorrow, we'll hear from the Bison football players about them moving up to FBS football. Looking forward to that. You hear from Nathan Hayes, Keenan Wilson, Donovan Woolen, a bunch of others coming up on the show tomorrow. Before we wrap, we're going to do this now between now and the end of the Olympics. The updated medal count as we sit here on a Tuesday morning at almost done at 10:56. The Italians have the lead. There we go, with one over Norway. The United States has picked up a couple medals today. More potentially on the way. That's where we're at. Let's do some What to Watch before we get out of here. Speaking of the Olympics, the United States, Canada women's hockey coming up at a little after 1 o'clock on the USA Network. Purdue, Nebraska hoops tonight at 6. And I mentioned mixed curling gold medal match. Sweden and the United States coming up here in just a few minutes. Our thanks to Gloria Nevarez, to Mike McFeely, to Dave Richman. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. You can watch a full replay on WDAY+. Another packed show in the books here. Hope you enjoyed it, everybody. Thanks so much for giving us a few minutes today. Have a great Tuesday. We'll see you back here tomorrow.